to marriage and talk about some areas where a husband might compare himself to his peers. What happens there, and how does that affect us?
Oh, wow. Um, so a husband comparing himself to his peers may look like may look like I make more money than this guy, so I'm better here. Or, you know what, I keep myself in shape, and I look better than this guy, and okay, so I'm still good. Or I have a much wider influence and reach. So whether that is, hey, we both work at the same company, but Bob is a janitor, and I manage a group of 4 different people, and we do these things. One, it really discloses our own inadequacy and our own immaturity and our own heart as guys, but we never see it that way. We never really see the darkness that's really being represented when we are always trying to put ourselves above and asserting ourselves before. And one of the things that Jesus challenges us, and he really invites us into this place of being humble. He says, hey, the greatest in my kingdom works like this. It works like me, that you will serve other people. You will be people of self-giving love, that you will be people who put other people before yourselves. You will be people who sacrifice so other people can have. You will be a person. You will be the kind of man who not only values and respects your own needs, because that is important, but you will be able to honor and put others' needs above yours and serve them in that way, just like Christ did for us. And this is life work. It's not something that, oh, hey, I can read a couple books and I'm good. It's life work. It's something that the Spirit of God works in our hearts over time, over a lifetime. And it's always coming out, because we are always going to, it always comes out until it's like second nature.
Yeah.
When something becomes second nature, and it's second nature because when you get caught off guard, you're just doing it. Or let me give you an example, Dr. Kim. So I used to, my wife would say this about me. She'd say, hey, you are a germaphobe. And I'm like, I'm not really a germaphobe. I'm just germ aware. But I get what she's saying. And I was the guy who, if I would go into the restroom at my office and there's paper towels on the ground, like, I'm not the guy who's going to bend over and pick up those paper towels. That's where my germ awareness really
Sure.
comes in for me, right?
Yeah.
But the more that God began to work in my heart, and I'm not trying to make this a spiritual thing. All I'm saying is that the Spirit of God began to do something in my life that said, you can put other people above yourself. That I want to invite you into a closer, more intimate place with me. And so I began to, and I was just like, okay, well, what can I do? What does that look like? And one of the things that stood out for me was, I'm going to pick up paper towels off of the ground here and like get out of my comfort zone. Now, this is not a huge thing, but it's a character thing. It's a virtue thing. And
Yeah.
now when I go into restrooms and there's something on the ground or the floor, whatever, it's just second nature for me to pick it up. I don't even think twice about it. And I will get comments from other guys walking in like, what are you doing? Well, we have people for that. You don't need to do that. And I'm like, no, I do need to do it. And it's a
Yeah.
part of that serving and maturing and growing up. But for me, when I noticed that it became second nature and I didn't have to stop myself and say, pick up the paper towels or wipe off the sink or whatever, that's the kind of place. And that's the place when you know that it's being worked in me, that I've got this virtue now. And I think that's super, super important.
That's so good. And I think the point you made, that it is a progression. I think the first time I guess I realized, wow, this is what Jesus wants me to do. And, you know, I came from a home where I saw my dad serve. I had a good role model, but I know other guys have come from homes that the last thing their dad would do would serve. And so they didn't have that role model. And so I think it is a process and looking for those opportunities. and even ask him for those opportunities of, hey,
Mm-hmm.
God, give me an opportunity to serve today,
Yes.
however that, where it's picking up paper towels. You really convicted me. I do the same thing. I walk by those paper towels. So tomorrow when I'm in the office, if they're there, I'm going to pick them up and think about Big Rich. Let's go
Oh, that's awesome.
one more question.
Sure, sure.
How does this impact our marriage and our other relationships? Bringing it down for guys.
Mm. Well, I think it affects marriage in this way. I think there's a deeper connection to your wife as husbands when we break free from all of the other pressures that we feel.
Mhm.
Because if there is this pressure to perform, or this pressure to be something that we're not, or this pressure to imitate and to mimic or whatever, it can actually prevent us from being closer and connecting more deeply with our spouse, because we don't let them in, or
Mhm.
because we hold them at bay, and out of this sense of, oh well, I have to protect you, or we it causes us to do some very dark things. It also it makes us feel inadequate too. It's So I think it has a profound effect on us. But the remedy and the cure for that, I think, Dr. Kim, is a good dose of vulnerability.
Mm.
That and this is super hard, and I don't mean vulnerability with your wife, even though that's always included in part of the equation.
Sure.
But I mean vulnerability with some guys, some of the people that you were doing life with, and you were saying, you know what, Dr. Kim, I admire that you've got your PhD in psychology and all this stuff, but I want you to know something. Every time I'm around you, I feel inadequate. Every
Mm.
time I'm around you, I feel like I'm less than. Every time I'm around you, I feel like that I just have to, like, you're the guy, you have all the answers because you have the education, and what I have to say just kind of doesn't matter. And it gives you an opportunity to come
Yeah.
back and say, Rich, I don't ever want you to feel that way. And if
Yeah.
I've ever done something to make you feel that way, please forgive me, and let's work through and talk through some of those things, because this is just God's grace in my life that I was able to get my PhD. But by no means do I think that I am better than you. Do I think that my opinion is the only opinion? If we don't have conversations like that between us guys, what are we doing? What are we
So good.
doing? Because we are not having true, intimate relationships. And another thing that makes me think of, Dr. Kim, is if we can't have conversations like that with other guys and with other men, and we can't have conversations like that with our wives, that is very telling of the kind of prayer life we don't have.
Mhm.
Because that means we are not talking to Jesus about this stuff and coming before him, just like the Psalters did. And they laid out and they said, God, I am scared. These people are after me. I'm running for my life. And it seems like you don't care. Why are you not here? In 2022, if we would probably pray a prayer that sounded like this: God, these people are after me, but I'm cool. Like, I know that you got me, and I'm gonna hold this down as long as I can, and I am not afraid, and I'm just gonna take it. I'm gonna be okay. No, no, you're not. You're afraid. You're scared. You feel weak. You feel compromised. You feel We have to be able to have those conversations with other men if we are going to move forward together, because this is not a life that we do by ourselves. We are in a community, a body, what the Apostle Paul says, and we are the body of Christ, this new creation that God is doing and working in us, and he's calling us to become a mature person in that new creation, a mature man. And it takes a community to be able to do that.